in Elon's case, he's able to see these things 5 years before, 10 years before other people are able to see them, and he thinks about them at a level that is so deep that he's able to come to a pretty solid first principles understanding of and make a decision before other people have even understood the problem, much less thought about it.
This is it. We finally got 12.4. It's now sent to early access to some individuals. And what I've done is collected together these 7 videos so we can actually see what it can do, what the bugs are, where it's struggling. Let's start off with the first one here, which is just a quick one. No spots available at destination. So FSD 12.4.1 makes a U-turn and parks across the street. This is something that I thought AI driver had said didn't do with 12.4.1, but it seems like it's doing now. So let's take a look at this. Yeah, it looks like it's a U-turn cul-de-sac
with lots of cars all over the place. Yeah, not a whole lot of room to do this maneuver.
Yeah, sometimes you have to swing to the right to make it happen, but it did it well. There's a parked car here. Then it decides to park.
And yeah, it doesn't seem like this was a maneuver that it planned to do in advance. It looked like it was kind of searching and trying to decide what to do, and then just making a decision and executing. One of the things that it seems like we have going on right now is that when we do these full retrains, and that's what 12.3 is a full retrain of the model. 12.4 now is a full retrain on the model, and 12.5 will be a full retrain on the model. That when we do those and we throw out the old weights and we start from scratch, that what we end up with then is a very rough around the edges system at first. And so they have kind of an extensive process of getting that new model all polished so that it's ready to be into the hands of customers. And we saw this also with 12.3, that, or well, we'll just say 12.0, that it was, yeah, all of 12 up to 12.3 was kind of the same base model. And that, there was fits and starts, and they said, oh, we're rolling it out to customers. And then we didn't hear anything, or not to customers, but to employees. And we didn't hear anything about it for a long time. It was like nothing, silence. And then finally the first customers got it. And then it was like, I think that was 12.2 at that point in time when Omar first started to drive it. And it was kind of sketchy for a little bit, and we heard about potentially safety critical interventions happening. And then finally they get it to the point in 12.3 where they've got some of those kinks ironed out and those bugs figured out. And then all of a sudden they get on this release cadence of just throwing out new updates over and over and over and over again. And the capability of the system getting a lot better. And then you finally, at 12.3.6, you finally see the end state potential of, wow, this is what this base model that we've been working with from 12 to 12.3.6, like this is what it's capable of when we finally worked through all those small quality issues. It was very impressive, like huge leap forward in capability of 12.3.6 over what we had in version 11. And I think that we're going to see the same type of progression now with 12.4. And then again, when we go through 12.5, that these first releases to customers are probably going to continue to be pretty unpredictable. There's going to be all kinds of weird behavior, and a lot of it is going to feel like that, 2 steps forward, 1 steps back. That I know, some of the things that we're running into right now with 12.4 are things that had been solved before, but now we're going to have to resolve them on this new model. And you don't just you can't copy and paste the solution that you had from 12.3 over to 12.4 and have it work. You have to actually go through the process of solving that problem. And so it doesn't surprise me that we see car not parking most of the time and then randomly parking sometimes, because that is exactly what 12.2 was doing early on in this phase of getting all these little edge cases, ironed out. So that's what it looks like to me. It is good to see, okay, now we can do some parking with 12.4, and we're going to have to extend that functionality. But I also do love to see the fact that it's not shying away from U-turns anymore. And, that is another piece of functionality that we should see extended here in the near future.
So before we show the other videos, I want to take a look and take some time looking at what Ashok Alaswamy said. He is the director of autopilot and AI at Tesla. He's in charge of the robotaxi autonomy. Very recently, he posted and said that the end is near. So he's very confident that's coming. Now, he created this article and he posted it on X because, of course, quite a number of the Tesla executives stood up and they want to support Elon as the vote nears. So this is what Ashok said, though. He goes through the history of Elon's importance in AI and robotaxi. So he said, Elon has been the key driver of AI and autonomy at Tesla. He has always pushed us to achieve great things, even when such ideas were seemingly impossible at the time. Some examples. So back in 2014, this is like 10 years ago, Autopilot started on a ridiculously tiny computer that only had 384 kilobytes of memory and puny compute. Didn't even have native floating point arithmetic. He asked the engineering team to implement lane keeping, lane changing, longitudinal control for vehicles, curvature, etc. Many, even in the team, thought that the request was crazy. Nonetheless, he never gave up and pushed the team to achieve this very difficult goal. Of course, now that is pretty common. Every car company needs to be able to do this. This is standard now. In 2015, beyond all odds, Tesla shipped the world's first autopilot system. The second closest such product only came to market many years later.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically Ashok's justification for why he thinks that we do need to go ahead and approve this Elon compensation package. And a lot of people have made the claim that Elon doesn't necessarily matter to Tesla's success, that, he just hires smart people and smart people figure out all these things. And I mean, anyone who has actually hired some smart people and then tried to get them to do great things understands how hard that is. So, kind of a crazy claim. And if it was so easy, why don't more people do it? But, people are going to be what people are going to be regardless. So, not surprised that people make that statement. But this is just Ashok's point by point examples from personal stories that he has witnessed or, knows of firsthand, how Elon has been a key driver of the development of the technology. And he has pushed smart people to do things that they did not think was possible and were not going to try on their own unless he had lit a fire under their butt and basically forced them. It's like, either you do this or you're fired. Like, that's kind of how Elon operates. And through the Walter Isaacson biography, we've seen lots of examples of this. There's somebody smart who Elon says, this is a thing that's possible. And the smart person says, no, it's not possible. And he says, yes, it is. Do it or get out. And then the thing happens. And it turns out that Elon was right, that the thing was actually possible.
Yeah.
And so that's what Ashok is showing. And then for people who don't know who Ashok is, he is, the head of the autopilot team, and he is one of the primary people who's responsible for FSD version 12, and that it is his leadership of the AI team right now that is delivering us the results that we're seeing in version 12, and that we're finally realizing the hopes of this FSD project that many of us investors have been extremely excited about for a long time. And so, just keep that in mind as you're listening to what he's saying. He's the one who's responsible for actually making Elon's dreams come to reality. And he's saying that that's not possible without Elon.
And he's going through point by point of all the things that Elon pushed and believed that could happen. And then the team actually made it happen when they themselves did not think was possible. So in 2016, Tesla started doing all of the computer vision required for autopilot in-house instead of depending on external vendors. Many people thought it was insane to bet the product on developing the vision system from scratch within a few months, which had taken over other companies a decade or more. Yet we achieved this target within 11 months. This was a strategically important move that started the development of a strong AI team at Tesla. This is why Elon and Tesla have a strong AI team. And of course, now as Tesla investors, we realize AI is a real thing. We're so happy that Tesla is a leader in AI because of this. Not only did he
Yep.
push for strong AI software, but also for powerful AI hardware. Tesla, which others thought was just a car company, was making custom silicon to run neural networks efficiently. This hardware that was originally designed in 2017 came to production in February 2019, remains extremely competitive with hardware coming out to date 5 years later. For reference, this 5-year-old AI computer is roughly 8 times the AI inference compute as a state of the art Apple M3 chip. It is still able to run the latest end to end neural networks built on top of the latest AI technology. This is crazy. 5 years old, and they're still ahead. This is Tesla's not a car company. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of people have questions about whether hardware 3 is going to be sufficient for us to run a level 4 FSD system. But a lot of those people don't take into account the fact that there's not another computer that's on the market that can do what it does even today, at least not within the power requirements and the operating envelope that, you know, Tesla is able to with a computer that basically would fit inside of an Xbox to do what an entire trunk full of Nvidia hardware would do, that would consume, orders of magnitude more electricity than what that Tesla computer is able to do. And, if that doesn't speak for itself, that a little tiny Tesla box is able to do more than a giant trunk full of Nvidia hardware, I don't know what you need as proof, but that
No.
kind of speaks volumes to me.
This was so early on as well. I want to get to the videos, but this next point is a big one. So I think it's worth for us to read it. He said this: he was the one who bet on vision and AI to solve autonomy instead of relying on the sensor crutches and high definition maps. I mean, everybody remembers this, right? And it was a big debate, and people thought he was crazy, going to go just drop LiDAR. For anyone who has experienced the latest versions of FSD, it might be obvious that it can see all the important things and drive the car based on just pure vision. However, back in 2020 and earlier, it wasn't obvious to most. In fact, many experts in the field ridiculed Tesla and Elon for these choices. We have proved them wrong by shipping supervised FSD to millions of cars and shown that with good AI software, the car is able to handle the complexities of city driving, such as making turns, handling intersections, yielding to pedestrians just by seeing outside. In fact, we even removed the radars and ultrasonics to really focus on the heart of the problem, which is AI. Today, it's almost paradoxical that Teslas have the least amount of raw sensors, yet have the most autonomous capability compared to any production car. Pulling off such a contrary bet was only possible because of his extreme conviction and deep understanding of this problem. This is the big one. And now everybody's agreeing LiDAR companies are dying, they're going bankrupt. Previous CEOs of LiDAR companies are now creating new companies that are AI vision only. It's no longer a debate. Vision only works. But several years ago, people thought this was crazy. This is another Elon crazy thing that he did, that his bet was right. And we're so lucky as Tesla investors that we're here today.
Yeah, I mean, that is the uncomfortable position that you find yourself when, in Elon's case, he's able to see these things 5 years before, 10 years before other people are able to see them. And he thinks about them at a level that is so deep that he's able to come to a pretty solid first principles understanding of and make a decision before other people have even understood the problem, much less thought about it. And when you do that, you sound crazy because no one else around, as humans, we basically believe that what everyone says is more likely to be true than what one person says. And so what everyone says must be right. And when you're an early person on something that is true, most people will think that you're crazy because it's not what everyone else is saying. And so that counterintuitive position is uncomfortable. And that's why Elon is such a controversial person, is because he's done this over and over and over and over again. And that history has shown that more often than not, he is correct. And so that's why many of us decide to give him the benefit of the doubt and really try to understand his logic for how he came to that conclusion, because it has proven to be such a valuable early warning system for something that
Mhm.
the vast majority of people think is wrong. And, that's where, if you understand something that is true that other people think is false, that provides you an opportunity, whether that is an investment opportunity, whether that is a
Yeah.
technological opportunity, an opportunity to build a product that other people don't think is possible. Like, all of those opportunities exist in that space between this is something that is true that everyone in the world believes is false. And that's one of Peter
Yeah.
Thiel likes to say, that is, what is the one thing that you know to be true that everyone else disagrees with you on? Because that's where you find that opportunity arbitrage gap.